Hello, thanks for joining the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubakum. Today on the program, groups want thorough investigation into alleged rape of undergraduates by soldiers in Ondo, say case must not be swept under the carpet. Governor Yotam says anti-open grazing law has brought peace to Benue, reveals that 81 herdsmen has been convicted, 3,000 cows arrested as Miyetti Allah faction appeals court ruling on the matter, and later the retired policemen protest alleged underpayment by Nigerian police pensions. Want gratuity reviewed. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Wahid Bakari, and Tony Uwaje. So if you are ready, let the hangout start now. Many thanks for joining us. When the supposed law enforcer become lawbreakers, then the situation calls for concern. The alleged rape of a 300 level student of Adekunle Ajasin University, Akungba Akoko in Ondo State by soldiers at a military checkpoint leaves a sour taste in the mouth. Different groups like the institution's chapter of ASU and women journalists in the states, southwest states, have called for thorough investigation into the rape allegation and the soldiers involved to be brought to justice. They say the case must not be allowed to be swept under the carpet. Let's hear this.
The alleged rape of a 300-level student of the Adekunle Ajasin University, Akungba Akoko, Ondo State, by some soldiers is generating reactions from residents of the state. Different groups are in the forefront of calling for proper investigation into the case by appropriate authorities. One of the groups is the state chapter of the National Association of Women Journalists, NAWOJ, which wants the military to treat the allegation with all seriousness. The vice chairman of NAWOJ in the state, Tola Gbadamosi, urged the 32 Artillery Brigade of Nigerian Army, Akure, to pursue the case diligently.
We actually advise the army to do thorough investigations to the matter, because it's a matter that people will not want to hear that anything otherwise happened about it. So for that reason, we urge the Nigerian Army, the 33 Artillery Brigade, to do a thorough interview, thorough investigation.
Gbadamosi is not the only one who wants justice served in the matter. The state chairman of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, NUJ, Adetono Aderoboye, urged the military not to sweep the case under the carpet.
If at the end of this tour it is discovered that the soldiers really carried out this condemnable act, they should be made to face the music. The maximum penalty should be applied.
It's really quite unfortunate. I mean, given the rape cases that we've been hearing in recent times, to now find people who are supposed to be the ones protecting the people being involved in such a thing.
The state government has also lent its voice to the issue, calling on authorities of the Nigerian Army to hand over the officers involved to the police for diligent prosecution. The state government reacted through a statement issued by the State Commissioner for Information, Donald Ojogo.
Jude, can you give us an insight into this particular case? What went down?
Yes, it's unfortunate that the rape bug is sweeping through our country, and it's a matter of unprecedented shame to find the army involved in this kind of thing. The students were said to be in a bus coming from a journey, and then the soldiers told them to come down, then took down the particular girl right into the bush where they had their tent, and they told others to go. So because they were carrying guns, the other people in the vehicle, though they smelled the rat, but they were too intimidated to remain there, to find out what the soldiers or the particular soldier who dragged the girl into the bush was up to. But about an hour after, she was released and the story was told to the other commuters who had stopped somewhere in front, that she was actually molested by those soldiers. And what we heard was that it was not even the first time that the soldiers at the checkpoints were fond of fondling women's breasts. They'll see the girls. You know, it's a university town, you know, so you are bound to see many beautiful women and all that. And that sometimes through the window of the bus, you see them fondling women's breasts and all that, because they are carrying guns. People cannot confront them.
It's nonsense.
It's terrible that this kind of thing can be going on. We know that soldiers are just like the rest of us. But when you put on that uniform, your behavior should be dignified. Because it's like a footballer who wears the badge of his club. The repository of the honor of that club is on you. The respect of that club is on you. The repository of the respect is on you. So you cannot behave in an aberrant manner. You can't, because you are carrying a gun, drag people into the bush and begin to sexually molest them. We've had cases in the past, even during peacekeeping, involving our troops. Cases of rape involving our troops in the past. So, but on home soil, when we are not at war, you are being asked to protect the people against rampaging kidnappers.
Violating them.
Or you are now going beyond your brief to sample the women, innocent girls who are commuting between their school and the towns around their school. So this is unfortunate. When it happened, it became clear that after the arrest, because the army base, the report was lodged with the army base in that area, and they went there, that's the artillery brigade, and they went there to effect arrest. But ultimately, those soldiers should be handed over to the police.
At this point, yeah.
For prosecution in accordance with Nigerian law. This is not a military affair.
Oh.
If a soldier misbehaves in public, it is the police that should handle his matter.
No, I think the convention is that they will first of all face their internal something,
No,
so it could lead to dismissal.
No. If it is in the course of a military operation, there are things that they do. For example, if a soldier refuses to fight. Remember the case of those soldiers who were going to be deployed to the war front after their training in Jaji. And on the eve of their training, they escaped. They all disappeared into thin air. And the army decided to put them, court-martial them, put them on trial. You know that is purely within yes, military, whatever. But if a soldier goes to a drinking den and misbehaves there, it is the job of the police to effect his arrest. All that needs to be done is to inform the military authorities. The soldier is also subject to our general laws. But if it is in the conduct of military operation, they misbehave, it then means that they will be tried under military law, martial law.
Wahid, do you have additional information about this particular rape case?
Yes, I think I must commend the lady in question for coming out to voice out. You know that because of this kind of society we find ourselves, there's always that stigma against rape victim. In most cases, people even want to blame the victim you know, that, oh, why do you have to, why are you doing
why did you dress indecently?
Why are you dressing indecently? You know. But we have a situation whereby somebody was traveling along with other people. You asked her to alight from the bus, and you violated her. You know, I think she deserves to be commended. Let me also share with you what I experienced, what I saw sometimes in 1983, December 31, the day we had coup that ousted Shagari's regime. You know that I live on Agimoto Road, around the Dioro, Lakara area. So our house is on the major road. A woman on our street, you know, she came out to look for, the woman died some years back. She had 2 of those children. So she came out to look for them. Everybody was indoor. You know, that it was school period. Everybody was indoor. Before our very eyes, we were standing on our balcony. When we saw the vehicle of the soldier, a Land Rover, just came. And before you knew what was happening, if you remember, if you also recall that in 1983, when that coup took place, we had election about 3 months after, before that.
Yes.
So most of the polling booths were still standing. We saw when they dragged that woman inside, the 2 of them, 2 soldiers, inside the polling booth. You can now guess what they were doing with her. They spent some minutes there, and they came out. One of them was even shamelessly adjusting his belt like this, you know. And we thought of throwing stone at them from our balcony, but one of my brothers did one that, no, don't try it.
The risk.
Because of the risk involved. They will go and enforce now. They'll say you have attacked soldier. When they are in school in town, they can change it to anything. And I'm very sure that woman died with that stick, with that thing, without sharing it with anybody. And we don't have the courage to ask her when we saw her the other day, Mama, what happened between you and those soldiers? You know, you can't just ask her. She was not willing to talk. I believe she was violated that night. One of my brothers, who is a regular watcher of this program, will remember that story very well. On Agimoto Road, they drag her. This is not the first time. They have been doing it, and they have been getting it. And the problem is that when people do things like this and you allow them to get away, they will be emboldened to do it more. But they know that there have not been consequences in the past. So we have to do something about this one. They should not be swept under the carpet.
Now, Tony, I think reaching out to the military authority and the culprits.
Yes, I commend, as what he said, I commend the lady in question for coming out and saying exactly what happened. This is not the first time. We had issues like this all the time, soldiers violating innocent Nigerian citizens, and nothing happened. But I'm particularly interested in this case. I'm happy that the governor is interested. You know, he's very interested in this guy. He's calling for a prosecution of that particular soldier. I learned he's a corporal in the Nigerian army. As of today, the state PRO is saying the army is here to transfer the case to the state police command. I hope, as we sit down here, that has been solved. We need to know the person in question. It's not about covering the story. I don't know what the army is doing till this very moment. We should, if it's an armed robber, by now it's all over the papers. By now, the Nigerian army should bring that particular soldier out. We need to know the soldier in question. We've had this over and over again. And if you don't take action on this, it will happen again. It's not about just making noise about it. I mean, why is it taking the military, the army, taking them days to bring this guy out?
It's a civil case.
We are nothing like court martial. Bring him out, because when you do this, you're condoning it. If you commit an offense like this, I mean, these are people who are supposed to be protecting us. You know, when you're traveling and you see a military checkpoint, a police checkpoint, you are rest assured. Your heart stop beating. But when it happens like this, you're not telling us that there's no need. So when you see them, you don't need to stop. You see, there are passengers in the bus, and you see a particular girl. You told the girl to calm down, and you disappeared. And 1 hour after, she emerged from nowhere, and that checkpoint is still there. And nobody can challenge it, okay. And we say we have a country. That is just, we can't continue to run a country like this.
But rape is now like the in thing now. You see old men of 70-something, 60-something, defiling for pedophiles here and there. I think we need to have stiffer laws and punitive measures against these people.
Yes, and the justice system that grinds slowly in our country, we have to do something about it. It's about time that we did something about it. When rape assumed epidemic proportions in Uganda, the president came out with the law prescribing death for rape. Because at that time in Uganda, people were sheepishly imagining that if they raped a virgin, that they will be cured of AIDS. President Museveni has been able to bring down the prevalence rate of HIV/AIDS in his country. And he came out with that law. It came down. So every society deserves the kind of law that will help it to stem the tide of crime. So rape has assumed epidemic proportions in our country. There is no day that you don't have reports of rape and defilement of kids. So we need to do something drastic. And when soldiers get involved in this kind of thing, just because you are carrying a gun, soldiers who ordinarily cannot face you in hand combat because they are carrying one useless gun, they now think that it's a license to misbehave, to destroy their whole humanity. I mean, it makes no sense. We demand that this soldier should be handed over. It's a civil matter. It's not all matters that police will handle. After all, the soldier who was conniving with Evans was eventually released, and we saw his face. So this soldier too, who has done this abominable thing, should be paraded for us to see, so that the shame that he deserves for bringing his family into disrepute, that shame will be served on him. All right. It's brought the name of the army into disrepute. So it deserves to be dealt with severely. Remember, when a soldier who clearly had lost his head was beating up a crippled man in Anambra State, we came on this program and we demanded that he should be severely dealt with. And the army authorities did that. They not only locked him up for a few weeks, they also demoted him. So this is what we're asking for. Otherwise, every idiot carrying a gun would think that it is a license to simply defile our women. And that has to stop. It has to stop. The Chief of Army Staff is watching us. He has to take action. Otherwise, we will remain on this matter.
All right. Still to come, Governor Yotom says anti-open grazing law has brought peace to Benue. Reveals that 81 herdsmen have been convicted. 3,000 cows arrested. Stay with us. It's still Journalist Hangout. Welcome back. It's still Journalist Hangouts. The end, they say, justifies the means. A new song is waxing out of Nigeria's north-central state of Benue. After years of farmers' herdsmen conflicts, Governor Samuel Yotom says the state's anti-open grazing law has brought relative peace to the states. Speaking in New York, Governor Yotom explained that more than 81 herdsmen had been convicted and 3,000 cows arrested since the law was enacted in 2017. But the last is yet to be heard about the controversy that surrounded the enactment of the law. The Miyetti Allah Kautore Association has filed an appeal against the 4th of July ruling of the Federal High Court, Abuja, which overturned the suit stopping implementation of the law. This law was actually very controversial. Wahid, let me start from you. When it was enacted, and we discovered that the people of Benue State actually demanded for this law, and Governor Yotom, craving to this popular demand, actually enacted that law. And the Miyetti Allah, they've gone to courts to go and appeal this law. This law is anti-open grazing law. And you know, there used to be, Benue State used to be like the headquarters of that for farmers' herder clash in the country. But right now, it has reduced considerably. Is it the law working magic?
Yes, I'm a firm believer in the rule of law. And I've said it times down on this program that let's continue to test our laws. You know, because if they are guarding dust on the shelf, it will serve no purpose. And we have seen that it is working here now. You know, and I also like the step being taken by the Miyetti Allah. They feel aggrieved. They are not satisfied. They decide to take the option of appealing, you know,
legally,
which is also their legal right. I think that's the way we should go. Let's continue to make use of our law to put some of these things in perspective. It will go a long way to help instead of having clashes here and there, whereby people are being killed, properties are being destroyed almost on a daily basis. Before the law was enacted, they said, according to what the government said in the U.S., they said between 2013 and 2018, that no fewer than 11 local governments had been attacked, you know, in the past, as a result of which over 5,000 lives were lost. 5,000 lives. There are over 195,000 homes and 30 churches worth billions of naira were also destroyed. But we now have a relative peace because there is a law in place. You know, if you violate the law, you'll be asked to go and face the music. And I think that is the way we should go. Instead of having clashes here and there, if you feel aggrieved about something, take it to the law court. If the other party feel aggrieved, they can also appeal. They have the right to appeal up to Supreme Court. You know, I think is a good development.
It was a big problem enacting the same law in, replicating the same law in states like, a complex state like Plateau State. So it's not all states that this kind of law might work. So it depends on, you know, what your people want and everything.
Yes. Let me not go far from Benin, please. Since the law was enacted, there's been peace in Benin. And then for Mietiala to now go appealing this same judgment, it's like taking the state back to the crisis era. Assuming the appeal court upturned the Federal High Court's judgment, what happens? Then means cattle will start roaming the streets of Benue again. I mean, let the sleeping dog. The fact that there's peace in Benue right now, you know, we all believe in the rule of law. But then, is it paying Benue right now? For me, ranching is the best thing, and it's working. There's been peace. We no longer hear about Benue, the crisis, people being killed, churches being burned. I mean, all those things have, for me, has rested. So why now? I mean, you're not going back to appeal. Are you? I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Like, why are you not enjoying the peaceful nature of that state? Because when you're appealing for that case to be the case at the Federal High Court to be upturned in your favor. So assuming it happened, so you want to start taking the cattle on a roaming spree in the state, knowing the implication that the state will now go back to that era. We don't want crisis. Nigeria, as we speak right now, is not too good. We go into another crisis within the states. The one we're enjoying, the one we're facing at the moment, is not something nobody wants to see. I mean, more states going into it. Benue, for instance, what the governor said, we know. There was crisis in the state. He enacted. I know what the Mietiala was, you know, their position at that time before the State House of Assembly and sailed through with that law. And then, and between that time and now, we can see that the state has been in peace. And then suddenly, this one, I don't know what's the intent to achieve with this. That's my take. I don't know what they intend to achieve. There is peace. For me, why not ranch your cattle? Because we're still going back to where we're coming from. Why not ranch your what do you intend to benefit from this? Okay. Ranch your cattle, so it's a private business. Let peace reign in Nigeria.
Okay, we are saying we don't want, some people are saying, okay, we don't want the federal government proposed Ruga, and Tony is talking about ranching our cattle. And, you know, some of these people, most of these herdsmen, they are nomadic in nature. They go from one place to the other. And a state like Benue is saying that you cannot, you know, graze your cattle, you know, publicly. Now,
open grazing means that you can graze anywhere. So that is what they are, because to freely roam around with your cattle means that you can get into people's farms, destroy their crops, and these are the things that make farmers' blood to boil. and eventually will lead to bloodletting. Because if what you have worked for the whole year, you now see someone sending cattle into your farm, the next time what you want to do is poison the cattle. They do that, farmers do that. And when they poison the cattle and there's a lot of fatality, the farmer, the herdsmen will now come back to come and slaughter people in those communities.
They killed my cow.
So now, what used to cause friction between farmers, they've dealt with it. I've been to Mambila. I can see clearly the ranching works in Mambila. Everyone knows where the boundary, yes, they have lush green vegetation and all that, but there's usually boundary. Your cattle cannot stray beyond the demarcated area. And the cattle in Mambila, they are the biggest in the country. You see big bulls, you would think that they are the type of bulls that you see in Florida. So it shows that you don't have to travel from the farthest part of the country to another before you can actually do this cattle business. So, and when the governor came up with the law, many people opposed him, but he was resolute. And today, the police, the civil defense, the vigilantes are getting involved in ensuring that the law is implemented, because the problem that we always have is implementation. So the law is enforced. Once you are caught, it's either you go to jail or you get fined heftily.
Or they confiscate those cows.
Hefty fines. Some as high as 2 million. So that you will never in your life do that again. And it's working. Communities in Gwe West, Logo, Guma, and even Gwe East, and some parts of Makodi that in the past did not enjoy peace. They have peace now. And IDPs are gradually returning to their ancestral homes because of the peace that has been achieved. And I want to make one point. It is a faction of Mietiala that is actually behind this. That's Mietiala Kaltahore. This is the same faction that were making incendiary statements that time and claiming that the Fulani actually settled in the Benue Valley before the chief people. And as a historian, you know that this is arrant nonsense, because it's on record that the jihadists led by Usman Dafodio could not defeat the chief people. And the Battle of Ushongo Hills, they were roundly defeated in 1804. So there is no anthropological, there is no genetical, there is no historical or archaeological evidence to suggest that Fulanis settled in the Benue Valley before.
Okay, let me pick this call. I think Kennedy is calling us from Taraba State. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Very well, thank you. Go ahead to contribution, please.
Well done. Good one you're doing. Thank God you've been to Taraba State and you've been to Mambila Plateau. You saw exactly what's going on over there.
Yes.
I'm very happy about what the governor of Benue State did, and it has shown a definite sign that ranching is the best option. I mean, for the Fulani men to like go back to the court and say they want it to be overturned is going to bring another different crisis in Benue State. And I hope and I wish and I know my governor is in tune with that stuff, and I hope and wish he is going to join that clique or that crew of the governor of Benue State. What we need in this country is peace. The number one problem of this country is insecurity. And I hope what you people are doing on Journalist Hangout, the people in government are actually listening and they're going to tackle it. May God bless you all and keep doing the good job. God bless you all.
So it's only people without a knowledge of Nigerian history that someone will sit down at a press conference and be claiming that, the Fulani settled in the Benue Valley before the thief. I mean, it makes no sense. It's completely antithetical to what is in the history books. And I'm happy that even some Fulani historians have debunked that claim. So when I've said repeatedly that the Mieti Allah Kaltahore, the faction, the small, tiny faction of Mieti Allah that is fond of making wide statements, to heat up the politics in our country, should not simply be identified as Mieti Allah. They should actually have given themselves a different name, because the mistake we make is assume that these Katahore people are the same Mieti Allah, but they are not the mainstream Mieti Allah. The mainstream Mieti Allah that has Ottoman Ngazama, the secretary from Yobe State, it's the real Mieti Allah, and they don't make this kind of comments. They were not the ones who went to court. So it's just the other faction. That was the same faction that was abusing Tinubu the other day. And the Mieti Allah, the real Mieti Allah, came out to say, no, we didn't make this statement. But of course, because once you hear Mieti Allah, people will think it's the mainstream group. Whereas it's a tiny group and discredited group, for that matter.
Wahid, can this be replicated everywhere?
It's not likely because of the differences we have in each state. The fact that it has worked for Benue doesn't mean to work for Taraba, but they can also look at what will work for them, as long as it's going to be within the ambit of the law. It's
already working in Taraba, so.
So they can also say, okay, if this one cannot work, what is the one that can work for us? Each state should be able to identify the one that can work for them, as long as it will bring about the lasting peace. Like we have all agreed here.
Can we phase out open grazing?
It's possible now. It's possible. It has been established that is the best option for us. Cows that are not into ranching, they look healthier
and bigger.
They look bigger. And some of our governors, they have been to some states in the United States and some other countries like that. I think there was a time some state governor went to maybe Mexico. I can't remember the exact place they went to now. They saw what ranching has brought to that place, and we are wondering why they cannot replace them here. A situation whereby you say people can do open grazing, as well as they can enter into people's farm and destroy their crops. Those farmers will not take it lightly, because that is their own means of livelihood too.
That you are destroying.
You can't destroy people's means of livelihood and they tell them to fold their hands. They want to fight back, and the way they want to fight back, nobody can really predict it. Yeah. So that is why we don't need this kind of thing.
Practicing this ranching. Sokoto is practicing it already.
Let me quickly attend to this caller. Okay. Henry is calling us from Lagos. Thank you for joining us, Henry. Hello, Henry. Henry, thank you for joining us. Okay. Turning your contribution.
Sokoto is already practicing ranching in Rabah local government. Rabah is the home town of the former late Sardauna Amadu Bello. I have a friend who has his own cattle inside the ranch that the state government created. They have the water, they have food that they brought from Argentina. They have everything. And my friend is actually even making yogurt.
From it?
Yes, from there. And the cattle there, they are bigger, because they don't have to suffer.
Nourished.
Yes, they don't have to suffer like the ones that would travel from Borno to Lagos.
Sorry.
Yes, I said it's doable. It's doable in Nigeria, as in the country. If we sincerely talk to ourselves, we know our problem. We know what is dragging us back. It's simply politics. I don't know why in a state we know the solution, towards attaining peace. Once you get the solution right, implementing it is no. That is, if we take away politics, it has always been our problem. It's been crisis from one state to the other. We keep talking about it over and over again. So why can't we sort it? If the state government stands up and says, no more roaming of cows in the street, ranch your cattle, you still make the same money. The nomadic, we're talking about the 21st century. At this point, we know our problem in this country is the ability, the political will to solve them.
Yeah.
We know all those things. We know how to sort it. There's no problem. We have it. We know exactly what our problems are. It's when we start lying, talking, and that is what has placed us where we are today. We know the solution to this problem. We can't ranch. I mean, we can allow cattle to roam in the street. In Lagos here alone, every day I see them. I mean, it has to stop. If we must make progress as a country and align with the rest of the world, the time has come for us to do the right thing. Yeah. We should take away politics, have the political will to solve our problems. Yes, don't look at people's faces, otherwise you're wasting time.
Julie, I've seen communities, I've seen videos that have shown, you know, a whole community chasing out cattle rearers and chasing out their cattle and their cattle rearers, and I believe that, but they've always been with us from time. So how come at this point in time it's very difficult to accommodate?
Yes, the truth is, the ordinary Fulani herdsman is peace-loving, is a good Nigerian. But the truth is, Fulanis from Mauritania, from Mali, from Senegal, from northern Cameroon, they've come to mix with the Fulani that you know, that you are talking about. And a lot of them have criminal intentions. You can't go to Zamfara now, where a lot of the Fulani bandits from outside our country have been killing people. And you go and tell them that, no, these are peace-loving people. No. I interviewed them, I have it on record, and they are saying, these are the people who come to kill us. So this is the thing. The Fulani that we know that are peace-loving, their ranks are already diluted by bad people, bad eggs. And those bad eggs are the ones kidnapping people freely, kidnapping people for fun in the Southwest and many other states. So people will be worried. And the president said this in Taraba when he went to make peace after the killings in Mambila. He said, there are Fulanis from Mauritania, from other countries, coming into our country. So the ones who are our people, our own countrymen, are not the ones behind these abominable killings. A lot of, I'm not saying they are not involved at all. They are generally, no, they are easy to distinguish. There are some Fulanis that their hair will be very long, like women's hair going all the way down. Because they described them to me in Zamfara when I went there. That these are the people who come to kill us. You know that those ones are not Nigerians. Yes, it's the same language that they speak from here to Futajalon, but they are not Nigerians. And we cannot continue to treat aliens who are coming to kill our people. We can't continue to see them as fellow Nigerians and be asking people to treat them like human beings when they are not killing you like people who have conscience. They're not treating you like people who have conscience. So this is the thing. Many of and that was why the Commissioner of Police in Ondo State went to the Fulani community and said, identify the bad eggs amongst you. Because those bad eggs are giving you a bad name.
Bad name, simple.
We can't hide the fact that, bad eggs among the Fulani are the ones involved in kidnapping, and they are giving the good, nice Fulani people that we have known for years and that we are proud of, they are giving them a bad name. It's a fact. So they must identify them so that we will deal with those ones appropriately, and then we can have peace in our country.
All right, moving on now. One of the lines of Nigeria's national anthem goes thus: the labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. But the treatments citizens are getting in the country in recent times proves otherwise. Recently, some retired policemen and women protested in Lagos over alleged maltreatment after leaving the office. The retired officers who pulled out of service between 2017 and 2018 accused the Nigerian Police Pensions Limited and the PENCOM of underpayment. They want their gratuity reviewed arguing that what they got does not correspond with what they deserve after years of service in the country. Let's hear some of their stories.
These are retirees of the Nigerian police force who left active service between 2017 and 2018. They are displeased with the Nigerian Police Pensions Limited and PENCOM, and they want their gratuity reviewed.
The Nigerian police pension grossly underpaid the retired officer, and hence we are not happy the way they are paying us, because we believe that the police pension just feel like paying us anything they feel like. Because how can a retired officer who have served the country for 35 years been paid gratuity 2.2 million, 2.3 million after 35 years of service? So this situation is not going down well with us, the retired officer.
After serving 35 years, someone of level 6, level 8, level 9, level 10, level 11, they are paying us 2 million, 1.2, 1.3, 1.5, 1.9. It is a shameful thing. Please, we want our government to come to our aid.
Law doesn't work retrogressively. This law was enacted 2004. We shouldn't know why it should affect those who have worked for many years ago. It should start from 2004 for those who entered that time.
Other pensioners who served in the police force for 35 years also spoke on how they are fared since retirement.
Consider what we went through the police for 35 good years, in the day, in the night, in the sunshine, in the raining. We want them to come to our aid to pay us our due money. The money they are offering is nothing to write home about.
The sister agencies we know, I may not mention them, a warrant officer goes home with about 11 million after retirement. An equivalent police is going home with 1.4 million. It's unbelievable. And that is a reality which people can go there and find out. Now, coming again, we are saying that we that entered the 80s shouldn't be part of this pension something. Because the law that was made in 2004, when we were enlisted 80s, we shouldn't be part of that law.
The retired police officers have received quit notice to vacate the barracks. Many of them complain that they are yet to receive their gratuities, neither have they started receiving their monthly pensions. They want the federal government, the Inspector General of Police, and other relevant stakeholders to come to their aid.
Babaji, what is responsible for this disparity? One of the soundbites caught my attention, paying 11 million for a sister agency, and you have to get 1 point something for the police.
Yeah, it's always been there, and I think it's about time that the huge disparity in the paychecks of our security agencies is addressed. We do not show enough respect to the police, yet we want the police to deliver the goods. If people serve their country for 35 years and you are paying them pension of 1.9 million, what is the meaning of that? Million. You know? So how will those who are still in the force be motivated to give their best? And this is, when you talk of mortality within the armed forces,
it's the highest.
This is the highest. Policemen die every day. They
kill them every day.
Armed robbers kill them to snatch their guns. They are the ones who lose their lives the most. So for these ones to have even lasted 35 years, they must be really grateful to God that they didn't die in the process. But what do we have? You are paying them. If you look at the salaries of soldiers compared to salaries of policemen, you can understand why, even in terms of pensions, they get the short end of the stick. Because we are a DSP who will be paid 37,000 naira and a CSP 45,000 naira. You will find that a warrant officer, you know, who is junior to them in the hierarchy, gets much more than they are getting. It's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. And I also think that is unfair for people, for that law, since the Pension Act was created long after they joined the service. I do not subscribe to the idea of saying that
retroactively.
Yes, because the army, they pulled out of the pension scheme. So I think even the Air Force too, they pulled out.
Why? The police are still
So no, because if it does not pay them, they will complain. And you don't want soldiers who are demotivated to go and fight for you. So they've opted out. So the police too are saying, look, let us come out of this pension thing because it doesn't really make anyone happy. So this is their cry, and the authorities need to listen to them.
Wahid, it's not so attractive to go and join the force with listening to the plight of these ones.
Yes, the disparity has always been there. In the past, we always blame subsequent past military regime, but we have had 20 years of uninterrupted democracy now. Why can't we have things to be done in the normal way? If you go around the barracks of the soldiers and the police, what are the police? They are living like pig. You know, it's always dirty. You can't compare it. The worst among the military barracks, the best among the police barracks, cannot stand beside the worst in the military barrack. If you go around, you will see it there. That discrimination has always been there, but it is time for them to correct it. And one of the things that is called is that they said, probably before now, they have never been experiencing that kind of thing until when the police authority now came up with their own police pension fund. You know, they said when they were doing their contributory pension with private people, they were not having any problem. One of them was monitoring. You know, if you work in an organized company, you have an idea of what your pension, what is being paid for you as pension at the end of the month, because you get the alert. One of them said he was monitoring his own, that his own personal contribution was 2.6 million. And by the time you had the one that a police authority paid, it should be around maybe 5 point something or 6 million. But when it was to be paid, it was giving 1.2. It was not saying that even my own contribution. If you give my own contribution, you know, is 2.6. How come you're not giving me 1.2? What is the justification for that? Nobody could provide answer. And what they did was that, you know, by the time they were being given form, the 7 of them were all giving multi-fund structure form instead of consent form. They said the difference is that in that multi-fund structure form, it will be stipulated what you are going to get. Okay. But in the consent form.
Let me quickly pick this call from the United Kingdom. Daniel is calling us. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Daniel.
Hello?
Yes, thank you for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
Go ahead with your contribution.
The issue that you have been discussing since morning, you see, the border on problems of Nigeria, bad leadership, bad governance. The thing is that, please, it's one thing that is affecting every other thing. If in UK here, nobody hears about a private issue of pension of an organization or whatever. It's settled. But if we have a good governance in place and there are oversight institutions that regulate all these things, you see, everything will be kept at bay and everything will be working normally. Please, another thing I want to add is that, please, any one of you speaking on this forum, please, exercise caution in whatever you say. I refer.
Is Daniel there? Wants to come. Tony. Yes. Tony, your contribution.
Watching that clip, I read the faces of these pensioners in the Nigerian police force, from the Nigerian police force, and I'm beginning to think that there is something fundamentally wrong with that payment structure. There is something wrong. And coming from the force, they can't let everything bear. There is something, and they are calling on the Nigerian police force to excuse themselves from the pension fund, meaning that there's something wrong somewhere. It's not today. We know the issues. At this point, I would expect the federal government or the EFCC to take over this issue. That disparity is too wide. I know a warrant officer in the army and then a DSP in the police. Somebody is taking 10 million and the other person is taking 1 point. Irrespective of the contribution, his contribution while in the service. It means that there's something wrong somewhere. That case is still fresh in our minds. I don't know why the police cannot excuse itself from administering this pension fund. I don't know. But if I have the authority, I will simply call on the EFCC to step into this matter. If you contribute something, you are expecting that at the end of your service, at least something tangible should go with you. They're even saying that this money is not even paid in bulk to them. They are paying it in pieces. And it's not fair. We all work every day, day in, day out. Like every day. And at retirement, you get nothing. And some people will sit over it, and we talk, because this is not the first time. We have issues of retirees in this country who goes the processing of collecting this thing over and over and over again. They don't get to get the money. And we sit down and we talk about it over and over again. A lot of people are still working right now, may not take interest. But in the years to come, they will feel it. But we can't continue to run a country like this. You're promoting corruption. If we keep doing this, people will look out of that and start stealing government funds. And it's justified at that point.
Quickly away from this, news just reaching us now that President Muhammadu Buhari is to inaugurate his new ministers on the 21st of August, and some days' time. And I thought the National Assembly, the Senate actually cleared these guys last week. And by last week, Tuesday, the Senate that were meant to go on vacation, they actually have to eat in some days and waited some days to clear these ministers. And I was thinking by last week, Wednesday, fake. And when it wasn't last Wednesday, I was expecting that by tomorrow we should be talking about who is getting what, and why must it be delayed 21st of August? Must everything be at this pace for this government?
The president has his own way of doing things, and he's never in a hurry like you and I. He's a much slower individual, and he has said it that he knows that people call him Baba Go Slow, but the truth is we want solutions to our problems.
The problems are piling up.
Even if you are slow, deliver the solutions to the problem. That's what Nigerians want, that no matter how long it takes, let's be sure that you find the solution. In the case of Benue, yes, the president deployed troops, and they also are critical to the peace that we have in Benue today. The governor was grateful to the president. Now we have the ministers. The president has wasted too much time in inaugurating them. Today we should be able to say who is the Minister of Works, because it's important. We know that we are going to unbundle Fashola's three-pronged ministry. So by now we should be able to say, is it Aregbesola that will get the works ministry? Because it's eminently qualified.
With what he did in Lagos State.
Yeah, with what he did in Lagos State and even Osun. So who goes there? Who will be information commissioner between
Sunday Diary, Festus Keyamo,
and Sunday Diary, because all the three of them are qualified. All the three of them are qualified, because I'm certain that Keyamo will not be given Attorney General. So by now we should know. We lost an opportunity to grill them based on the portfolios that are assigned to them, but hopefully next time it won't be this way.
Well, I just pray that the end will justify the means at the end of the day. August 24th is almost here, but I will have preferred a situation whereby, as the name were submitted, they were submitted along with their portfolio, so that we have an idea of who is doing what. Yeah. And like you said, we can now question them based on the assignment they are going to be given.
If the president is not in a hurry, country is in a hurry. He must activate the machinery of government. Things need to work.
Things need to work. I want to thank you, Tony Waje. Thank you so much for your contribution. Wahid Bakari, thank you so much. And Bikio, thank you so much for always being here for us. And that's it on Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. And also watch Journalist Hangout on our platforms showing on the screen. We're also on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Uzubako. Catch you tomorrow, and God bless Nigeria.